Hey, what's up, Vibe Tribe? Welcome back. And if you're new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Davida. I'll sing it for you so you don't mess it up. It's not hard. All right, and I hope all is well with you. And if you aren't well yet, you will be. Okay, so you're here for a reason, and we're here to talk about music because that's what this ITS, that's what I abbreviate it as. That's what In the Studio is about. We just talk about music and get to the nitty gritty and actually learn how to apply it if we're in a musical kind of career. I am a singer-songwriter. That's what I specialize in my field of the music area. I like to play piano. I play it by ear mostly, so I don't call myself a musician necessarily, but technically I am. And so you can take my word for it, with a pinch of salt, whatever you want to say, as we go forward with this and as I continue to give you guys tips and tricks and advice here and there. All right. So yes, let's get started. So we are going to break down, first of all, what does emote mean? Okay, let's Google that really quick. I already know what it means, but we love a good definition. I'm obsessed with vocabulary, by the way, so get used to it. Emote. It means, especially of an actor, portray emotion in a theatrical manner. Key word here for me is theatrical. This is an episode where we're gonna explain and go into depths about how to use emotion when you're performing, singing specifically, and not only what emotions to use, but when to use them. You actually should be, I always say, like, she's a smart singer, he's a smart singer, because there's a difference from just being a great singer. Anybody can be a great singer. They can literally practice and be great. However, it's about being smart. That's what makes you like that iconic person, or the person that, gives you chills. Those are the people that are being thoughtful with their purpose and with their performance. So theatrical, dramatic. Be dramatic. Don't be, too scared type of thing. Emotion is basically something we're all gonna experience all the time. However, it's different when you have to put that emotion out to the open, and then you have to get the audience to feel exactly what you're feeling. That is a skill. That takes practice, and also is just a huge factor for whether or not your performance is it. Yeah. So that is what emote means. Like, hey, we did it. All right. So let's talk about this. How do you approach a song? We're going to specifically look at a song together. How about that? Alicia Keys' Fallin. Most of us know this song. Alicia Keys is an R&B artist. She's a singer and she's a musician as well. She plays piano. If you don't know, now you know. So she sings a song called Fallin, and the song is about her in a situation or in a conflict where she falls in love and then falls back out of love with a person that she apparently feels so dearly about that she needs to write a song about them. Okay, say you're going to sing Fallin' by Alicia Keys. The first thing you're gonna do is assume that you know what the song is about, just like how I did. That's my assumption. I'm not saying that that's the reason she wrote this song. I don't know. But I quickly assumed what I knew about the song. You need to know where you stand with the song. That way you know where you need to improve later. So now you know who the person is, how the song works already. You got that. So let's dive in. You got the lyrics. Obviously, when you're performing the song, it's coming out of your mouth. Therefore, the audience is going to take the song. If they don't know who Alicia Keys is, they're going to take the song, and then they're going to look at you and try to connect it. And so that means you need to be believable. Yeah, so when you think about the lyrics, you have to believe in the lyrics at least a little bit, or at least be able to interpret them in your own ways. Her first lyrics, I keep on falling in and out of love. It sounds like a complaint. It sounds like she was just like, this is the situation. So it doesn't require much emotion. That's up to your interpretation, I would say. And you have like the bigger parts of the song, like when she says, oh, I never felt this way. How could you give me so much pleasure and cause me so much pain? That part is obviously, it's like requiring the theatrics right there, because she dragged on certain words to even exaggerate the emotion that's supposed to be there. So if you're singing it and you choose to sing it like this, how could you give me so much pleasure and cause me so much pain? Just like that's disrespectful. You just disrespected her. Like, just saying. Okay, so work on this emote with me. This is your moment, right? So you hear the lyrics, you hear how she's singing it. Now it's time for you to interpret this. I think, for my interpretation, you tell me what you think the song means to you if you want in the comments below. But I think her approach to the song is straightforward. She's kind of actually, I would say, communicating to the person she's falling in and out of love with. So it's very direct. Therefore, I would assume that like when you're performing it and in projecting this out to the audience, this is the second verse, by the way, so turn up the heat, hopefully, right? I think about when she's doing that part that she's in a mix. She's in a mix of anger because she's like, how could you? How could you? That question alone sounds like she was offended. She was hurt. So how could you? You could be angry. If you're feeling pissed today and you decide to sing that song, you're probably gonna sing it a little more on the angry side than the hurt side. You're gonna be, how could you, give me so much pleasure and cause me so much pain. You could be angry right there just because of that, the beginning part. Or you can be stuck on the pleasure. There's 3 interpretations I'm already getting from this one line. The second one I have is, what if you're stuck on the word pleasure? And just think about it. I've been caught up in situations like this. I don't know if you have or haven't, but you get caught up in the lustful part of a relationship to find yourself emotion and a soulless kind of feeling. And that can reign in that moment as well. You don't have to do too much on the, how could you give me so much pleasure and cause me so much pain? Yeah. Like, you can be just gone, missing, feel hollow, but it needs to be dramatic. You are still, trying to portray this to the person you're singing to, the person you're communicating to through the lyrics. The third and last interpretation of this one single line is the pain, the obvious part. Pain. Like, what do you think when you hear her dip in there? That's a sorrow. That's a very soulful move, by the way. That's classic, like, African American singing. But the point is that is exaggerated for a reason. Pain, the word alone, come on. She's over here, she's singing, and you could take the as physical pain, I guess, but we can probably assume that she's talking about emotional pain, and that's the best way we should take it right now, because we're talking about emoting. So we're taking it that route. Now she says pain, and she repeats it 3 times. That's a lot of times. That means if you're doing that physical look, if you were moving your body in that way, in the sway of her notes, you would look like you're crying. And that's the interpretation I get for the third one. She's making it obvious that there is so much sadness in her words, or in this passage at least, that it can cause her to cry. You could appropriately cry at this line. How could you give me so much pleasure and caused me so much pain. Just when, like, you could just take it away, you know? Just because of that. She gave you a lot to work with. This is a great song, by the way. I recommend it to those that, you know, feel confident singing this song. Use this song for an audition like I did, because it's just a good song. It does test your vocal agility, and if you can do it well, the judges will appreciate that. So your interpretation matters. Do not discount it. It really can add something to it. You really think that people in the audience are thinking of 3 separate interpretations for one line as they're hearing it? No. But because you're taking the time to think, you can choose your interpretation and force it through your performance. Put it into their minds. This is why there are people in the audience that will come back and say things like, you know, you changed my outlook on life, or you made me do this in my life, because it really is effective. Music is so touching. Finding similarities between the song's meaning and its meaning to you. This is another strategy if you're dissecting your music and trying to perform it to your best ability. And if you say you don't have enough time to think as hard and find interpretations of just her song and how it went for her, maybe you need to make it more personal so that it's, you know, natural emotion for you. Maybe that's more your style, and that's perfectly fine. I do that actually a lot sometimes. It's just quicker and less stressful on the brain. So, for instance, I've been through some things, you know, y'all know. If you watch my vlog diaries, as you should, watch my last one, you'll be caught all the way up, especially on my personal life with the relationships. So yeah, check out that. But if you don't know, like, yeah, I can relate to this song, especially when it comes to the whole falling in and out of love thing. I definitely felt almost like I had like mental issues because of the way my emotions would flip. When she says something like in the first verse, I keep on falling in and out of love with you. Sometimes I love you and sometimes I feel blue. That part, I sing it like that every time. She does not sing it like that. But why do I sing it like that? Because I'm comparing it to my situation. I've been through that exact feeling, those exact words. So it's not just my interpretation, it's literally my relation to the song. And that's a tactic you can use to get you through a song, because that emotion was unique. And then I can add whatever my natural facial expression will be for that moment. That is enough. Emoting theatrically, it still doesn't mean do the most. It does mean be expressive though, and know how to put it out onto the people. So when I chose to sing it that way, I didn't seem unsure, because like I said, I related it to a whole situation. So if you were in your own situation, you know exactly how you felt. So don't get on stage and change it up based on what people's faces look like. You know what I mean? Go up there and tell your story if you're gonna do it that way. So next thing, understand the effects you can have on your audience. It is so crucial that you read the room. Yes, read the room and see who's already in there. But if you can't, that's fine. Take your time. I always do that. Like if there's a room that I'm not recognizing as much, or didn't take the time to recognize, then I'm going to start off lighter. I'm going to start off more digestible, meaning that I'm just going to sound like a person you've heard before, possibly in the beginning, before I bring out more of my Davida and just, you know, mix it all up and all that. We already touched on how you can have the power to actually affect your audience when you're emoting. It's so like rewarding. All right, so understanding the effect you can have on your audience is crucial. So all those tips that we mentioned before, make sure we're applying them, and now you know the reason why. All right, so planning the performance. Now this is the physical part. We're out of our head. This is the physical part. I will say right off the bat, and this is probably obvious, but being slightly polished actually allows you to be more comfortable and authentic on stage. So it sounds backwards. You feel like if you're more polished or something, you'll be like a robot or something on stage. And that's not it at all. Especially if you're not trying to be. You're gonna want to push that side of you out, but you also want to have your own back. You want to be able to bounce back if shit hits the fan. So, for instance, I will practice the lyrics hard as I can if I have to, perform something. If I decide to add some form of extra expression or decide to do a crazy run that I didn't plan on doing, at least I ain't gonna mess up the words. You understand? That's that moment that gives you the courage to be an emotional performer. So we're planning the performance, and when you're doing that, there's things that we slightly mentioned earlier, like reading the room. It's very important. Lightly, we talked about it, but let me tell you why it's so important. If you understand who you're singing for and why you're singing for them, so the theme of the program or whatever the situation is, what time of year it is, or whatever the case is like that, that helps you understand immediately how to deliver it. I don't know if you realize, but as humans, we communicate and read each other in certain ways and make sure we don't offend each other most of the time. So that's what you would be doing for your music's sake. And I think that's really important. While you're doing all that and you got that out the way, that's when you can enjoy the fun part of things and see how far you can take it. So what's the meter level like for vibes? Like, you know what I'm saying? Are you in a room full of young folk that are ready to get lit? Or are you sitting in the coffee shop with some elderly folk that are trying to get work done? Like, you know what I'm saying? You need to decide based off of that if you either want to match their energy, shake them up, or, increase the energy that's already in the room. Those are your options. Then you have your other details. Are you going to be true to yourself, or are you going to play a part? I think that goes into the first section that we were talking about with in your own interpretations and whether or not you're choosing to go that route with interpreting their song the way they wrote it as an artist kind of thing, or if you're going to go the route of relation and pulling their lyrics and applying it to your real life to then emote those truthful feelings. So depending on that is how I think you'll decide on how much of yourself to add to the situation. Because me personally, when I decide on emotions, I'm not gonna lie, like I told you earlier, I choose the relations side. I choose that path a lot lately because my life has been so interesting. So because of that, that's easy for me right now. And then when I do add changes of myself in there, it's usually very natural. It's usually exactly how I'm feeling. So whatever emotion I'm giving you, if it's extra, like for the song you're using as an example, Fallin by Alicia Keys, if I get to that fun part at the end, sing it basically however you like, because she sang it the same way the entire time. Oh baby, I'm falling, and she just keeps going and going and going. Now you can be emotional about that the whole time and, switch it up in between, all that. That's my point. And so depending on how I'm feeling and how this song relates to a certain situation, that is how that works. I will then switch it up or do what I please. Now, I think that covers everything. Be true to yourself, though. Like, that is the goal. I think that's a goal to set. I don't think that's something to shy away from, even if you choose the other path. I think you should definitely challenge yourself to see how authentic you can be on stage. It'll just really strengthen you as an artist and as a person. And I think you'll be able to make better decisions for your career path due to that fact. Most people won't have much leverage on you if you aren't, hiding behind any kind of doors. And there are artists that bring a great example for emoting on stage. Michael Jackson. There you go. No, I'm kidding. But there's more. I would even say Mariah Carey brought some of her emotion to her songs. Sometimes she would even let her real life situation emotion slip into her songs. At least when she sang live, I peeped it. And then Erykah Badu, I do believe she just emotes based on the lyrics, low key, in my opinion, which is why it's hard to interpret her mood. But that's just my opinion, so I threw her in there. And then Kirk Franklin. And I say Kirk Franklin simply because he is very theatrical, and that is what the word emote means. He is putting out the emotion that he wants to exude onto the audience. Like, he wants to put it on you. You should feel some type of way because of what he said and how he said it and what he's doing when he says it. So yes, okay. Now you have examples of all these kinds. And if you have any questions, definitely comment them below. Or you can message me or DM me on Instagram at Davida_beloved and or TikTok. Follow me there as well. I think that's everything. Yeah, we got it done. We did it. We learned something today. See you later, Vibe Tribe. Stay tuned for my next cover because it's coming. And it's a request. So thank you for that request. I was looking for a song. So don't forget, you can request songs. See ya. Love you guys. Da, da, da.